In this video, I'm going to be creating actually a socket interface. A socket interface is very important and broad concept. Actually, the socket concept is embedded and manipulated with the connection of servers. Like when there is a client and server concept, and a client is contains a socket, and a socket is actually modified with the port number. So actually that client is listening to the socket from which the connection would be coming in. So socket allows us to connect two different clients, or it also allows you to connect to have a connection with the client and server technologies. So socket helps in connection. In this application, the socket would also help us to connect two different users, like by sending the HTTP request, and after sending the HTTP request, if there is a response, and all these things would be handled in a socket interface and plus in a socketer. So let's get started. I'm going to create another class that will be actually of socket. So I'm going to use socket and finish. And then in this I'm going to first of all change it to interface. That's it. And then I'm going to create a variable in the socket. So as I've already told you that what are sockets, and sockets are used for sending the HTTP request to the other client and waiting for response. So I'm going to create a public string send HTTP request, and I'm going to use string params. So what does it really do is it will actually send the HTTP request to the other user and would check out that whether the user is available or not, and whether the connection is possible or not with the parameters of params. I'm going to click on enter. I'm going to create an integer variable like int and start listening port int port, and that's it. So what does this method do? This method actually begin to start listening to the port from which the connection is coming out, and actually the socket is connected with the port, so it's definitely going to listen to the port, and we're going to pass on the kind of specific port through which we're going to be connecting with other user. The next thing I'm going to do is to stop the listening, public, and in here I'm going to provide a method which would be actually helping us to stop listening to the port, because if when you begin to start the listening to the port, you're going to have to stop it also. So I'm going to use public void stop listening. That's it. And then public void exit for exiting the port, and that's it. Now we have those methods which would actually help us to get a socket connection.